Hello. Now, in this video, we'll learn about different approaches to the deployment and provisioning of enterprise information systems and compare their advantages and disadvantages. Now, we can distinguish two main categories, on-premise and on-demand. Now, remember the web browser architecture that we discussed in one of the previous videos. You have the central server and thin clients that connect to it to access the system through internet and or private network. Now, the provisioning of enterprise information systems relates mainly to the physical location of the central server and thus who takes care of it, who takes care of the central server, who maintains it. And the on-premise type of provisioning, the central server is physically in your premise or in your facility, and typically the organization that uses the system for its operations maintains it. So you set an IT group, you train them, etc., etc. Okay? And maintaining such a system simply means that you may need to upgrade the system with patches, with new kind of upgrades. You may need to back up the things, the database and so on, and perhaps restore data if bad things happen. On-demand is rather different when it comes to who maintains what. Okay, on-demand. Now, in this approach, the central server is in the cloud or in, let's say, in vendor's premise, and typically they maintain it. They provide daily technical operation and support. There are currently two main approaches to the on-demand provisioning. First one is SAS, Software as a Service. Web-based enterprise information system that's already installed somewhere on the cloud, and you use a part of it, and you don't even, in fact, notice that there are other type of customers using the same system, but your part is programmatically separated from others parts. So, for instance, the Canvas that we use in this university is a good example of this type. The server is somewhere that we don't know, and perhaps we don't care, and many universities are also using it, but we don't see their data and they don't see ours. Only administrators know which universities are there and who uses the system at any point in time, and etc. The second type of on-demand solution is the cloud enterprise system. In this approach, the platform, the server is in the cloud, maintained by another company, for instance by the vendor or by a cloud platform provider, also called PaaS. The enterprise system is installed for you and you just use it. For instance, the SAP that we use in this course that you practice with is of that type. It's installed by the SAP somewhere in Germany, and we connect and use it through internet. A side note, please note that when people say on-demand provisioning, they usually mean the SAS option, not the cloud enterprise system option, although it's getting much more popular, and that's also a kind of on-demand provisioning type. Now, let me show you. The graphic is right now is going mad. I don't know what happens, but you will receive the slides anyway. Let me show you the current status with respect to the enterprise system provisioning in practice. The data comes from the annual report for the Panorama Consulting ERP survey, here indicated in the footnote, and the graphic shows the status for 2017. Now, what this shows, the green part is about 64%, and 64% of the companies still relies on on-premise provisioning. That's the traditional way. The SAS option, which is blue, is about 21%, and the cloud enterprise system, which is the yellow part, is about 15%. Now this, somehow the graph comes back in a proper way. Now this figure shows the percentage over the years, and this table, in fact this one shows the percentage over the years, and I would say surprisingly the SAS option is not gaining more grounds, and probably the same perhaps can be said for the cloud enterprise system, which means on-premise traditional option is still the dominant one, and we can ask why, and perhaps it would become more clear when we discuss about the pros and cons of on-demand approaches, which we're going to do now. First of all, on-demand solutions are usually simpler in terms of technical deployment, particularly for the SAS. There's no need for any installation in client systems. Like in Canvas, you just reach it and via your browser and use it. Now it provides universal access, meaning that if it is available, you can access to the system from anywhere on Earth. They are easier to adopt by the organizations, that they typically have lower startup costs, as you don't have to buy servers or install things on top of them. They are easier to maintain. Usually vendors maintain them for you, and the scalability and reliability is likely to be better in on-demand provisioning, as the vendors usually have better technical infrastructure that you have in your premise and can scale more easily. How about the disadvantages or cons? Perhaps the number one drawback is the loss of control on sensitive company data and taking the risk of security breach. After all, not many companies would be fine with having their sensitive information on the internet. The second point is this. So it's usually the case that on-demand solutions, particularly SAS, offer less flexibility in customizing the system to your own needs. Think of Canvas, that's being used by hundreds of universities at the same time. So it's difficult to keep a change on the system that we like only on our side, but not on the others. Another issue is that you have to rely on external vendors for reliability, security, and continuity. So you need to trust to the other party, and that's not always an easy thing to do, particularly in B2B settings. Although the cost of on-demand provisioning is less at the very beginning, in the long run it can grow significantly. So sometimes annual payments might eventually exceed the maintenance cost of on-premise solutions. And finally, you also heavily rely on the internet connection. But again, honestly, this is less of an issue these days, but yet. Okay, now these were the important points about on-demand and on-premise enterprise system provisioning. So don't forget to go through the quiz in Canvas, and see you later.